Blackwood is making news for a different reason today. She's speaking out against how she and her son were treated on a United Airlines flight. On their way from San Francisco to Vancouver yesterday, their plane returned to the gate. The pair was kicked off. Blackwood says it was because her son was crying and being very fussy before takeoff. When she got back into the terminal, she spoke to a United agent about being removed, and that agent says she's never seen anything like that.
You've never heard of this before?
I never heard of anybody taking you out because somebody is crying, the baby.
Right?
No.
He was crying loud,
But what you can do
yeah.
as a baby.
And we're joined now by Sarah Blackwood and Giorgio. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, we're good.
So tell us about what happened. You're sitting there on the plane in San Francisco.
Yeah, we were sitting ready to go, and he was fussy, you know, he was crying. I've traveled with him since he was born, so almost 2 years, and some days are better than others. So we were in our seat. He was, you know, sitting on my lap. He was moving around a little, squiggling, crying, you know, and I was holding on to him, and we were ready to go. And a flight attendant approached me and told me that I needed to control my child.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, I had kids who once were that young, and sometimes kids who are, you know, just under 2 can be a real handful. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst behaved he's ever been to you, where would you put him at that moment?
On an airplane, that was probably the most fussy he's ever been. Mm-hmm. But he's a good kid. He's never too out of control. Okay.
So the plane ends up, it taxied, but then it ended up going back, and you heard they were going to refuel, which seemed kind of weird to you.
Which was really weird.
And then they escorted you off the plane. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the pilot came over after we had been moving for a while and said that they needed to turn around to refuel, which was weird. And I, you know, in my head, I was just like, okay, good, it's not actually because they're going to take us off the plane, because that would just be ridiculous.
But you had a feeling that maybe that might happen?
Well, she when she first approached me and said, you have to control your child or we'll turn around and ask you to leave the plane.
I see.
So at that moment, I just turned to her with welly eyes and I said, okay, I got him. Like, I'm doing the best I can. You know, I'm 7 months pregnant. I got him. And then by that point, when we turned around, he was sleeping on me. So it took him about 7 minutes to fall asleep. And we got back to the gate. He was fully sleeping. I was fully relieved because I was like, okay, he's going to sleep for the rest of the flight, which is always really nice for a mom on an airplane. And a woman approached us and asked me to leave. So I actually had to wake him up at that point to get off of the plane.
And that must have felt awful.
Yeah, I was really embarrassed, and I just didn't really understand the situation and couldn't believe that that was a thing, that you can just throw someone off a plane because your baby's
So
crying.
Skywest, which was operating this flight for United, their spokespeople issued a statement. You've probably heard it, but I want to read you an excerpt of it. Despite numerous requests, the child was not seated as required by federal regulations to ensure passenger safety, and was repeatedly in the aisle of the aircraft before departure and during taxi.
Yeah. We were in a window seat, so he wasn't in any aisle. There was a gentleman sitting beside me. My nanny and I couldn't be seated together. I mean, that happens on flights all the time. So I had, you know, a man beside me, and we were in a window.
So this statement's just not true, you're saying?
Well, unless I was letting my son run freely in the aisles, which I've been traveling with him for almost 2 years. I know the procedures of flying with a child. I know he needs to be in your lap as an infant for a taxi, takeoff, and landing, and I don't understand where the claims of him running around in aisles came from, because he wasn't at all.
So this story, because of your profile, had a lot of us interested. You know, we obviously wanted to do this interview. I know lots of other media want to do the interview as well. What are you hoping comes out of all this attention? I
just wanted to put a voice to situations like this, which, whether they happen often or not as often, it's not fair. And you know, I know a lot of families that travel. I know a lot of women that travel with their babies, or fathers that travel with their children, and it's not always an easy experience for them or for the people around them. And I feel like it was really unfair, and I feel like because of the power I have with any social media, to put a voice to a situation like this, you know, is an important thing. And it's just to kind of help out with other people being aware that it's just not right to do things like kick children off the plane. I mean, I know that in recent events, there was another little girl, a little autistic girl, that was kicked off of a United Airlines flight as well. So I think it's just not right.
So you have a concert here in Vancouver tomorrow night, and Giorgio's going to be where during that concert? I guess it'll be late at night.
Sometimes he watches depending on what time we play. So if it's earlier, he comes and hangs out, but otherwise he'll be with the nanny at the hotel.
All right. Well, very nice speaking with you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.